Hey everybody, this is Jimmy and welcome to my first podcast called Everything Under the Sun. It's going to be weekly, hopefully, when we get going, but right now we're just going to try it out and see what happens. We're going to talk about a lot of different subjects over the next few weeks. And one of the things that I love is comedy, so I figured we're going to start things out with two of my best buddies in comedy of all time, and we're going to talk some comedy for you today. So please welcome, with almost 70 years of comedy experience between them, the first guy up here. Just want you to know he's not my dad or related to me, but he's one of my best friends in the entire world. This is Jeff Bang. Well, if you know him in the comedy world, it's Banger, right there. Say hello, Jeff.
Hello.
And here's an OG, one of the first original local comics to ever take the stage at the original Wiley's Club in 1984.
Yeah, something like that.
Is one of my best buds, been around forever, Mr. Jesse Nutt.
Yo, hey, hi, yeah, 70 years.
70 years.
You had to say that shit, didn't you?
Well, if you add me into that, I mean, we're near 100.
Oh, no, that would only be 20 years.
That would be
It's
100.
a deduction.
Oh, please. That's a deduction. That's a good one. We also want to give a shout out to my good buddy, Tony Herman and Fresh Air Entertainment for allowing us to use the studio space for this. This is where we'll be coming from. It's like a little man cave. It's kind of cool. We're going to break it down a little bit, but one thing I want to get started in is you started in 1984, 83.
83, I think it was 83.
Wiley's originally opened in 82.
Yeah.
But they used to do comedy with every Sunday with
Dow Thomas,
the great one, Uncle Dow. And he's actually the reason why I believe that my Uncle Wiley turned it into a comedy club.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like the first year? What was it like when you were coming in and how old were you? In your 20s?
Oh yeah.
So comedy was relatively fresh still in the country.
Yeah.
I know we had the Richard Pryors and we had the Bill Cosbys, but comedy clubs were becoming a new thing. So what was it like back then? What brought you into it? What made you want to be a comic? Do you see where I'm going at? Same question's coming to you. So.
Only thing I ever wanted to do. I'm one of the luckiest people in the world because, when I was 5, I knew I wanted to be a stand-up. I knew that there was literally nothing else I wanted to do as much as I wanted to be a stand-up comic. I'll date myself. I was 5, I was watching the Ed Sullivan Show. Might have been 4 or 5. And my older brother, my older sister, my mom and dad, they're all watching this comic. I couldn't even tell you who it was. They were all watching this stand-up comic, and my entire family was cracking up. All of them. And these are 4 very different people who didn't agree on shit.
Right.
But they were laughing together. And I was like, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to make people laugh like that. So it's all I ever wanted to do. So anyway, by like 83, I'd been kicked out of pretty much every decent Christian college. And
well, that's the other thing too, that people, you give a little bit about that. You actually you went to Christian college down south.
Seventh-day Adventist College. Oakwood College, when I went there, it's now Oakwood University. Pinkies up. But yeah, historically black university, very conservative.
So your parents maybe wanted something a little different for you than stand-up comedy.
Yeah, it's an under-fucking-statement. They knew I wanted to be a comic. Look, they always knew I wanted to be a comic. Anybody that's known me as a kid, like talent shows, I was always looking for any opportunity. If it was show and tell, I'm going to get up and do 5 minutes of Dick Gregory.
But I remember we talked the other night and you told me a story. The story about performing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did that happen before you went to Wiley's?
Oh, yeah.
Was that your first, true in front of a crowd stand-up experience?
No. Oh, no, I'd had,
that's right. So explain the situation.
Okay. All right, so I'm at this, again, ultra-Christian college. And I have not changed what I want to do, which is I want to be a comic. I want to, I'm going to graduate, make everybody in the family happy, so you'll leave me alone. I'm going to LA, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to go to rehab 6 times and end up on VH1. But I got a plan. So.
That's a good plan.
It's a good plan. So, but I'm at this Christian college, and I'm like, well, what about Christian comic? I could be a Christian comic, okay?
Right.
So, I'm at least thinking about it. I get offered to do one of my little skits at this convention, this meeting of all the college like student body presidents from all the other Seventh-day Adventist colleges all over North America. They're all going to come to our school and have a meeting. And they want me to do a little humorous, anecdotal little skit there. And I'm like, man, this, okay, great. Tell my folks, I'm going to try this Christian comedy thing. Now, again, every joke I told was vetted.
Right.
Word for word. Okay?
Right.
It's not like I got to go up there and just riff. Okay? So I go up, got my jokes, they're all approved, they're green lit. I go up, I do my thing, people laugh. I'm actually considering this. Like, okay, yeah, man, I could do this.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks later, messenger comes and tells me, go up to the college president's office right now. Okay, what'd I do? No idea what I got caught doing this time. So I go up there,
This time.
and the college secretary, she just looks at me and says, I had nothing to do with this. Hands me a letter on college stationery, official college stationery, from the office of the president, who was disavowing me and my ethnocentric remarks. Now, I'm a pretty smart motherfucker. I had to look up ethnocentric. Okay? So evidently I pissed somebody off. Now, at the time, I was not mature enough or knew enough about comedy to realize what an absolute gold mine of PR he just did for me.
Right.
At the time, I was just gut punched.
Right.
I really was, man, because I was like, because at the
Did it
bottom,
make you think about giving up like, before you even got started?
comedy?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck no.
Okay, okay.
No, it just made me sure that I was never, ever going to do any of that bullshit ever again. Because again, they sent this letter to every college in North America. They sent a copy to my parents, who then called me and go, what did you do? Not the first time my parents ever called me, go, what did you do? But again, I didn't do anything.
So,
You know, I did it the way they wanted me to do it, and they still threw me under the Christian bus. So, at that point, no, I was done.
well, I don't know if I can name top any 5 Christian comics ever, but anyway, so you go to Wiley's, you meet my Uncle Wiley, and
Can I tell the story? I gotta tell the story.
okay.
It takes me 2 weeks to get up the nerve to even go in the club. I sit in the parking lot 2 solid weeks in a row. Okay? I finally get up my nerve, I walk in. Okay?
Now, was it open mic, or did they have open mic back then?
No, they didn't have open mic.
So it was just
I
audition.
didn't believe in that crap.
Right, so it was just audition, go up and
Well,
front of the crowd.
it was just an open door. Like, there was going to be a show later. I came in early, all right? Again, there were no pictures in the paper of what Wiley looked like. So the only person I knew was Dow. So I saw him sitting there. I walk over. I spill my guts. I'm like, hi, Dow. You don't know me. My name's Jesse Knapp. I've always just wanted to be a comic. I just really want to try out. And if you could just tell me who Wiley is, I just need to, ask you if I could, try out and do a couple minutes. The points. I turn around and there's this old guy sitting at the bar. I turn around, I walk over, and I spill my guts in this guy. Man, I've been practicing this speech for months, all right? This motherfucker looks at me like I'm talking Greek.
Right.
I turn around, Dow is laughing his ass off. I walk back over, he goes, welcome to comedy. That's why. He did me such a solid, though, because then I was totally relaxed. I wasn't tense anymore. I walked to Wiley, I don't remember what I blathered out of my mouth, and he said, if I recall, he said, come back next week. And so I came back the next week, and I don't remember if he said come back again or he let me up, but he let me up on stage. I did something horrible, I know, some horrible jokes, but he let me come back, and...
Well, they weren't that horrible.
No,
Okay, I was going to ask you this, but you say, do you remember the first joke you told on stage at Wiley's?
No, I remember some of the first jokes.
How about the first time you got that approval from the crowd.
Oh, I'll never forget that.
Do you know what joke that was? Do you know
Oh,
that
yeah.
moment?
The McDonald's drive-through joke. I was opening for Ollie Joe Prater. No, I remember that moment.
Holly Joe.
I remember Ollie Joe because that was the first MC week I'd ever gotten, and I was opening for him. And that night I was hitting on all cylinders. I did this McDonald's drive-through joke. It was one of the first jokes that I ever really wrote. It was one of my first rants. One of my Jesse Nut rants where I just, go off on this shit. And the punch was, they should put it up on the arches. McDonald's over 80 billion served, over 6 million still waiting. And I mean, Jimmy, it hit so hard, I got an applause break. And I was like, I was telling Jeff earlier, there's no amount of money you could ever give me that would have made me feel any better than that moment.
Right. Especially the old club.
Yeah, the old club, I mean, it was just...
And what's crazy is that what a lot of people don't know about the old club is that you came in through the back door and there was a bar area.
Mm-hmm.
So for the show that was coming in next, a lot of times they were listening to what was going on. So you not only got the applause and the laughter from the people in the room.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of times you got applause and laughter from the 50, 60,
From the bar.
100 people that were outside listening too.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, yeah, the old club was magic. The new club, when he opened the one downtown, it had the same feel, but it didn't have the same.
First night I was in Wiley's. The first person I saw on the stage that I met was John Ricci. Other than that, I mean, my education.
When you
at
guys
Wiley's,
up there, John Ricci, if you watch any modern day TV show in the last 30 years, you'll see executive producer John Ricci.
Yeah. My comedy education was around guys like that because Wiley didn't have no poo butts in his club.
Right.
You really had to be a good comic. You had to be a good writer, and it had to be your original shit. And it just, I got to MC with Bill Hicks, for a weekend. You can't. That kind of education, man, is just I did not know at the time how great that was, that I could be in dinky ass Dayton, I didn't have to go to New York or L.A., and I could literally get that kind of. Yeah, or I could get that kind of education at the feet of geniuses. James Wesley Jackson, one of my first black mentors in stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the brother was so deep, and I opened for him, man. Yeah, I could go on all night long about those guys.
Let's get on with this, because what's really cool is he started in '83 when comedy was just starting to boom around the country. Comedy clubs were popping up all over the country, and then you came along in '93, 10 years later, and even comedy was even different then. When he started, it was on VH1, it was on MTV, it was on everything. There were two clubs in town because your first time was up at the other club. Mm-hmm. We don't need to mention the name. And
it don't even exist anymore.
And I don't care. So
can we call it the Field of Grass? Because that's what it is
now. Parking lot. It's a parking lot.
It's not even a parking lot. It's a field of grass.
All right, we'll call it the Field of Misdreams.
Of Misdreams.
Okay. All right.
That's where I met Jess.
How did you? What made you want to do comedy? Because you had done a lot of stuff. You built nuclear plants.
I did all kinds of things.
You were in the Navy.
Yeah.
You had a family.
Yeah.
You're an electrician at some points. You've been a butcher since I've known you, a bartender.
Baker, candlestick maker.
Yeah, I mean.
Those are the two I found.
So what made you want to go, hey? Was there anybody though out there that made you you were like, you know what, I think I could do that.
As a kid, high school, I did plays, musical plays. I could actually sing back then. I can't sing. I sound like a horse. Anyway, that's where I started at, was with that, and I really wanted to do it. And like Jesse.
Kind of like Scott Huff?
Like Jesse, my parents said, I ain't paying for that education. You are not doing that. You're going to be a preacher, or I'm not running you through college. So I didn't go through college. I went and did all that other stuff. But I always wanted that. And like Jesse says, it's for everybody else who's never done this. Even Tony, who's done music, he knows what this is like. it's like you have got to pee so bad, and you can't wait to get to that bathroom and pee. And it's hurting you for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years. It's hurting you. And then you get on that stage, and you get that response from them people, it's like the best pee you've ever had in your whole life.
Even
Well,
though,
actually,
well,
you were with me when I had the best pee of my entire life. That's a whole other story. Bonnaroo 03. We'll get to that another time.
even though the word is misused today, it's validation.
Well, I can understand that. I didn't, I was kind of forced into hosting open mic, okay? I had never done comedy before, and one night when the new owners came in, one of them said, hey, I gotta go close my pool hall, you need to close the show. I've never been on stage before. You can do it, it's easy. Well, who's gonna do the music and the lights? You can do it all. So I ended up, and then I got to a point where I wanted the open micers to have respect. And I basically, by how I hosted open mic, I kind of cut the hecklers out of the crowd because I heckled for them, right? But my thing is with you, Banger, is that I didn't know that you were ever in plays and musicals in school. So what was it like? So you went. Now, what was it like the first time going to Wiley's? Because there's a big difference, in my opinion, of going from starting at one club
And going over to
the Wiley's, because Wiley's and Rudy are a whole different animal than anybody else.
They were a whole new ball game. It was almost like you walked into the mafia. That's what it felt like. and you felt like, if I say something wrong, they're going to kill me. That curly-headed fellow over there is big enough to rip my head off. I know he'll do it. All Wiley's got to do is say, take care of that, and he'll do it. That's just the way it felt.
But I mean, did you feel like, I mean, no, my question, I've been to other comedy clubs around, and before I mean, when I moved away, I used to go to clubs in Boston, and I used to go to clubs in Florida and Virginia Beach. To me, Wiley's always had a different feel than all those other clubs. When you were getting in there, did you feel like, you know, like, this is different than the other? Like, I had to bring my A game. I mean, because, how many times did you go up before you went to Wiley's? That maybe should be
twice.
And how'd those go?
They went okay. They did go okay. I mean, I felt hustled. I felt moved quickly. You hurry up, get done, and when I went to Wiley's, it's like, well, get up there. Let's see what you can do. Pretty much that's the way it was. Let's see if you can do it. You know,
Now,
and we've all talked about.
Was it easier to do a set at Wiley's than it was to do at the other clubs?
Yes, it was.
Well, and why was that?
Because you didn't feel rushed. You didn't feel pushed. I didn't.
How did you work both clubs?
Sure.
Now, but by the time the other one opened, you were pretty much established.
Well, by the time the other club opened, I was featuring mostly, emceeing a little, you know, so yeah, I mean, by that point, most of my road work was either headline or feature work. So yeah, it was a different vibe, but it was still, the big difference in independent clubs, and that's what I would say, independent clubs versus corporate clubs.
Strip malls.
The independent clubs are as unique as the owners, as their city, as the taste of their crowds, as far as what they want to see. The corporate clubs, it sometimes is more whoever is marketed the best.
Okay.
Not who's the funniest, not
Right.
who's the most entertaining.
Who can make me the most money?
That's it.
Well, not just that, who's got the movie to promote? Who's got the TV show to promote? Who's got the package deal, you know, where they're going to cut me in on their merch? Or, in other words, there's all these other factors that have nothing to do with being funny. Okay?
Right.
And
that is funny enough.
you know?
What, do you
talked
remember the
about
first
that.
joke you ever told
No,
on
I
stage?
don't.
Do you remember your first time you got that, not necessarily you did okay, that point where you were like, I'm a fucking comic. I just made these people laugh.
That took me quite a few years. And I had stepped in and stepped out when I came back, and I was on stage, Jesse, at Wiley's.
Uh-huh.
I was going up on stage. I was coming up next. It was me next. Bitch ass over here was introducing me.
Oh wait, okay.
No,
You
shut
gotta
up.
set the
No,
story.
hell,
You
you
haven't told
just
the
shut
story.
up.
Well, look,
He's
let's
introducing
save this.
me.
Let's save this story.
That's a good one. I mean,
No.
you gotta let this one go.
Okay, hold on. First of all,
He's
Banger
brilliant.
had been doing
The same set.
the same set for 2 years.
Well, it was a
Okay.
little longer than that.
Okay, and I thought,
And it was a sucky set.
and
It really was.
we were best friends, and I always, because we did radio together, and I always said to him, I said, so finally one night, I just pulled, before he got there, I said, do you want to bartend or you want to go up? And he goes, I'd rather bartend. And I go, what the fuck's wrong with you? And he goes, what? I go,
I was
dude,
bummed.
you've been doing the same shit for 2 years. You tell me you got new material. You haven't done it in frickin' years, and you haven't shown me anything. He goes, I just, da-da-da. And I said, well, you're going up tonight, and you're going to do new material. And he goes, I'm ready. And I said, okay. So I right before he goes up, he says to me, I'm not doing my new material tonight. I said, yes, you fucking are. He goes, no, I'm not. And I said, okay, cool. I went up on stage, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, and I did every single one of his fucking punchlines.
Every one of them.
I didn't do a setup
Right
or
down the
nothing.
last week.
I did I knew his
Did
act
every
so
punchline.
well that I did all his punchlines.
And then he gets me up on the
Like
stage.
I'd go, so
No,
you know, we're
I-
walking down the street. I always like to use my wife as a snowblower. And she just did his whole joke. And then when he came back, when I introduced him, I came over and said, now do your shit, motherfucker. And that's when he became fucking
that's
banging.
when it got, yeah, that's when it got good. After that.
I had to call him on his shit.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do it just now, trying to call me out there, but I had to call him on his shit again. But listen,
Jimmy interrupts people when they try to tell stories. You know
because
that?
the story is
he's gonna
me.
tell the way he wants to
So,
tell.
yeah, but that's how it happened. Yeah, so we're going to take a little break here right now. When we come back here on the show of Everything Under the Sun, we're going to talk some old road stories with these guys. Because what's really cool about Wiley's is, as I found out, is that we were other comics' road stories. So we'll be right back here with Everything Under the Sun.